So today I'm going to talk about Dennis O'Neil's run on Green Lantern Green Arrow. And it says here, the battle of values that shook a nation. So um, Dennis O'Neil came over from Marvel and decided to bring some left-leaning politics to his writing, to DC, which was a rather conservative comic company at the time. I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with people injecting some of their politics into the writing. I think. Well, let's first start with. I can remember when these were coming out, and I didn't buy them, but I remember seeing the covers, and they had some very powerful covers. So there's Green Lantern saying, "You always have all the answers, Green Arrow. Well, what's your answer to that?" And there's Speedy shooting up. And then another cover I always remember, and I saw these in advertisements and other comics, was this one here, and it's looks like Jesus on a cross. Are you people crazy? He's trying to save us all. Stop! You don't know what you're doing. So these were some powerful covers, and there were a lot of covers that were really, really exceptionally done, or at least created interest for the reader. I would say that the problem is, so he tried to reinvent the characters, and I don't think it was good. Now this is a well-regarded run, as far as I can tell, here on Amazon. Is perfect 5 stars, and when I go through and I look at the reviews, and people seem very happy with it. It even got a now I will say this: 5 stars is not an exceptionally difficult thing to get, particularly in some of these graphic novels. 4.5, 5 stars. You got to be. It's pretty rare to see anything 4 or below. So it's not the greatest feat in the world. But they actually produced an absolute edition of this run. So DC Comics seemed pretty proud of what they produced here. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was absolutely terrible, and I'll explain why. So we start off here in a rather infamous moment, and we have a black man talking to Green Lantern. He says, "I've been reading about you, how you work for the Blueskins," so the Guardians, "and how on a planet someplace you helped out the Orange Skins." I don't know who those were. "And you done considerable for the Purple Skins." Okay. "Only there's skins you never bothered with, the black skins. I want to know how come. Answer me that, Mr. Green Lantern." So there's Green Arrow looking full of himself. And Green Lantern drops his head and says, "I can't." I don't know what he's talking about. Green Lantern is, he's in charge of Sector whatever, which includes Earth, and he works on an intergalactic level. I don't remember any time where he showed favoritism to any race. He looks at problems on a planetary scale. So I mean, talk about heavy-handed. Wow. But basically what he did was he reinvented Green Lantern as kind of a Nazi. That was, okay, so in my review, it says, bold attempt, bad execution. And so here's some things I wrote. That Dennis O'Neil said that Green Lantern he decided to redefine him as a crypto-fascist. In other words, someone who secretly supports fascism. And Hal is shown resisting his natural urge to support any authority figure, regardless of how odious they are. And we see that in one scene where a man is being attacked, and it turns out that, I don't know, he defends the man, but it turns out the man was not a good guy. Green Lantern at one point, when he's talking to Green Arrow, says, "I never pretended to represent justice, Oliver." I'm just like, what? Okay, and so in there he says, Faced with a ruthless mine owner who plans on executing a man for riling up fellow miners, GL claims that in the past he would have automatically sided with the mine owner. So what I wrote in there is I said maybe Green Arrow was right with him being a straight up Nazi. But Green Arrow was hardly any better. Green Arrow was a sanctimonious jackass. And it wasn't just in this series. Dennis O'Neil, that's how he wrote him. As far as I'm concerned, he was a misogynist. He didn't treat Black Canary very well, in my opinion. But he just was so full of himself. And I really don't think that was Dennis O'Neil's plan, was to make him such a jackass. In fact, Dennis O'Neil said that he wrote Green Arrow to be a reflection of himself, which makes me wonder what the heck kind of person was Dennis O'Neil. And apparently, after the rather famous storyline with Speedy doing drugs, let me see if I can find that. Okay, let me give you a little idea how that goes. Well, that's later in the book. Okay. So Green Arrow comes home. He says, "Oh, dear God, you are on drugs. You're really a junkie." And Speedy says, "Who else did you think I was talking about?" So he'd been kind of confessing that he was on drugs. And here is where Green Arrow discovers it. And so he responds by just backhanding Speedy. "You're a lousy junkie, no better than the rest of the sniveling punks." And Speedy says, "If that's the way you see it, Arrow, go ahead, hit me. Maybe that'll make you feel better." Oh my God. So I get that he's supposed to be the hero, a hero with the feet of clay, and there is a learning arc. But good God, that's really the way he responds when he sees that his ward is addicted to drugs? Is to just bash him across the face and start berating him? He's awful. At another point, he says to Black Canary that he's got to go out on a mission, and he tells her stay home. And the reason he wants her to stay home is because I need someone to something like inspire me to come back to. Wow. I mean, Black Canary is a formidable fighter, and for him to just put her down as I need you as my motivation to come back is awful. Absolutely awful. There are so many stories in here. So this is the first introduction of Jon Stewart as the new and he's really a stereotype. And that's unfortunate, is that Dennis O'Neil is saying, I want to come over and I want to introduce some left-leaning politics, but then he stereotypes not just blacks, but in another section, Native Americans, and it's not good. It's not good, and I don't like the portrayal of Green Arrow. He does not come off as a pleasant person, but supposedly Dennis O'Neil got some notoriety, some positive notoriety outside of comic circles for his work in dealing with substance abuse. And I guess he didn't handle it well and started having problems in his marriage. I think he may have gotten a divorce. Started having his own drug problems. So I guess he got really full of himself. Supposedly, he did not get along. So the art in here is all by Neal Adams. Did not get along with Neal Adams. Neal Adams eventually left. And it just kind of feels like he just was an unpleasant person. And if Green Arrow is supposed to be a reflection, then, geez, I don't know what it says about Dennis O'Neil. So O'Neil says he wrote Green Arrow as an anarchist, but I said he feels like a straight up jackass. He literally compares Green Lantern to a Nazi. Let's see here. He is a sexist. Okay, so Now, I know that Neil Adams has a lot of fans, and I'm not saying I'm not a fan. I think his art was groundbreaking at the time, but I did sit there and go through because some of his artwork can be quite hilarious. Because I know he likes to do different angles and contortions and stuff, and some of it I found. So here, this fellow punches this guy and seemingly so hard that it twists his head around 180 degrees. This was something that Neil Adams would do occasionally, the old twisting of the head around. He liked to do these weird shots with people's butts for some reason, with distorted lensing. I kind of like this ridiculous shot where he punches him and Green Arrow just flies through the air like a ballerina. I know this one is intentionally meant to be distorted, but I just kind of found it humorous how bizarre it looks. Let me see. Oh, there's what he likes to do. So he's flying through the air with his this case it's Jon Stewart with his crotch showing. It's an unflattering photo, I would say. I politically lean left. I'm surprised that a lot of comic book fans lean right, particularly some comic book owners. You would think that the whole concept of superheroes and self-sacrifice would not be particularly conservative, but so be it. Certainly, Steve Ditko was very, very right-wing. But I thought this. I remember when I was younger, and I had this idea that maybe Dennis O'Neil was secretly conservative and was creating Green Arrow to make liberals look bad because he's so unpleasant. But no, I don't think that's the case. I think he was trying to be legit. And this is very much the same kind of attitude he brought with him to the Justice League. And I remember when he was in the Justice League, and at one point he quit the league, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!" I said, "Well, I wish he'd done that earlier," because I think that the league was better without him. I think he's a great, concept for a character. In fact, I don't mind that they got away from the very boring Green Arrow from years before, gave him kind of a Robin Hood like appearance with the beard and the mustache and the sleeveless costume. But overall, I think that this is, to me, a fail, even though a lot of people clearly do enjoy it, because it kind of reminds me slightly of when Steve Ditko did. It's a bit different, but when Steve Ditko did Hawk and Dove, and they were supposed to represent the two ideological opposites. In this case, they both come off as jerks, the Green Arrow and Green Lantern. So, and Dennis O'Neil was writing the whole thing. Where I think I can't remember the artist who, I believe he was also involved in the writing, which was why they butted heads so hard. But some people like it, so maybe you will. I will admit this, that it's a book that I probably will keep because I couldn't believe what I was reading. I was like, wow. So it is memorable. I'll give it that. Even whether I liked it or not, it certainly kind of stays with you. So that's Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Hard Traveling Heroes.